Yeah. Yeah. Yep. We call to order the Whiteland Redevelopment Commission meeting for March 14th, 2026. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Tom Carroll.
Yes.
David Hawkins.
Yes.
Trimble.
Here.
John Venter.
Present.
Brian Webb.
Here.
Have a quorum.
Minutes from April 9th, 2026. Any comments, questions? Hearing none. Accept a motion to accept.
Make a motion, we accept.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I have a vote by roll call, please?
Tom Carroll.
Yes.
Amanda Trimble.
Yes.
John Venter.
Yes.
Brian Webb. David Hawkins.
Yes.
Passed 5-0.
All right. Voucher packet for May 14th. Oh, yeah, voucher packet, May 14th, 2026. Comments, questions? I'll have accept a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I have a vote by roll call, please?
Tom Carroll.
Yes.
Amanda Trimble.
Yes.
John Venter.
Yes.
Brian Webb.
Yes.
David Hawkins.
Yes.
Passed 5-0.
What's your say?
All right, the appropriations report.
Current fund balance is $2,334,502.11. The month-to-date revenue report is $13,619.01. We dispersed $1,483.50. And interest earned from the bank is $5,231.67.
Any comments? No. Old business. Fire department generator bid discussion.
Last meeting, we decided to revoke the bid from Evapar. And the request was for us to engage with an electrical engineer and have them come out and rescope the building and that the fire department had requested to be a part of a generator. So we had, I talked to Wessler Engineering and asked for one of their electrical engineers to come out and work with Armando to scope the size of the building, the needs of the building, and kind of give us an estimate on what that, what size generator we would need. So once they got in there, and let's just say before that, Evapar had helped us scope this, the project and the size of the generator. The idea, and I know that there was some discussion last month of the size being too large for what we would need. But I will tell you that if we ever would have some sort of outage again, and fingers crossed that this building would not be impacted, this could ideally become like a warming center or become the command center, like for a situation like what we had 3 years ago. So it's not just a matter of just what we would need to keep the lights on. So I have Armando here to kind of talk with you all on what the electrical engineer came up with. The one thing to keep in mind that I do like what was suggested at the last meeting is that we're not so brand specific, and maybe that could get us a better price on some things. But Armando's got some things pulled together, and we've got the report from the electrical engineer that again shows what the scope of the project is they heard suggest. Let him.
Yeah, so as Carmen stated, so we actually had an engineer come in and looking what we currently have, what is currently hooked up. So, and obviously the generator that we currently have at the firehouse. So we currently have a 40 kW generator there. However, that's not fully, and once again, I don't expect you guys to fully understand what's going on. So, it is currently powering less than half of the fire department. The entire fire department is actually not hooked up to the generator. There's a lot of systems that need to be upgraded along with this generator to make things work. So talking to the engineer, we looked at a couple of things. So if we have to power the entire fire department and turning it into a truly season, which it should be, 4-season type of operation, whether it's obviously winter or hot, it's gonna definitely affect the power consumption with the generator. Additionally, to fuel that generator, we have natural gas there. Natural gas in itself is not probably producing the same amount of output power that a diesel or gas generator would produce. So while talking to the engineer, he came up with a figure of around an 80 kW generator to be able to power everything there. Not only that, have auxiliary power to do anything, whether it's police, fire, the town, or anything that could be used as a safe haven or a safe shelter for the residents here for the town. So that's, I guess, just painting with broad strokes. If you guys have individual questions in regards to that, I can go further into detail.
What is not on the present generator?
So the bays, a lot of the bays are not. There's some systems that are not connected to that current to the generator we currently have there. So the actual big bays, some of those are not hooked up.
Living quarters basically is connected.
Yeah. So one of our saving graces in that building is that we do have most of our heat and whatnot is obviously gas, right? So some of the consumption might be less, but I don't see this generator as being an immediate or a fix for right now. It needs to be something that is long term. If we're looking at long term and looking at any type of expansion that happens in that firehouse or any systems upgrades or anything like that, having a 40 kW right now is not sufficient. Having a 60 K that we're looking at, like just having the enough power, maybe just right at that cusp, especially when you're looking at having a natural gas, whether any other type of combustion engine type of generator. The 80 kW, the 100 kW, both of those have the same engines, and there's a small, obviously, price difference in it. But the 80 kW would probably suffice what we need now and future growth. It would suffice what we need now and future growth.
It's good.
If you recall, that was the original size
Right.
that we had projected. Now we're again with what was suggested last month is maybe we don't restrict the brand. And we open up, when we put out a new RFP, request for proposal, we open it up to, and that's what I asked Armando, would there be a brand we wouldn't want? Maybe we just say, all brands with the exception of, something from Temu.
Right.
I don't know. I just kind of threw that out, but I think all the brands that would be able, what Armando had said, that could produce something, the 80 kW or larger would be reputable brands that we would be okay with.
Correct. And for that size generator, we're looking at Generac, we're looking at Cummins, we're looking at Caterpillar, Rolls-Royce, Kohler, you're not gonna look at an off-brand anyway.
Right.
It would not be smart. For one, you have to look at serviceability, long-term maintenance of this thing, right? Going with anything else other than a reputable brand is just not a wise investment. Additionally, so with the new generator, you would have to have some systems upgrade, like I alluded to earlier. The fire department is an older building. That utility room where all the electrical comes in, some of the paneling would have to go on the outside when it comes to the transfer switches and whatnot. So it's the generator, it's the transfer switch, and it's a tying in and upgrading the electrical components to make sure that everything is powered. Because as of right now, only, like I said, one leg of that entire system is powered with shore power, meaning electric company power. And then that's it. So
Did they look into the actual incoming wiring
they did.
and it was substantial?
There's gonna have to be some upgrades.
Okay.
There's definitely has to be some upgrades there. And the engineer, so what he took into account is, hey, what is the normal consumption rate? So he went back all the way to look at, billing, or power consumption and what's actually taken to operate that entire building. He took all that into account, looked at our infrastructure that we currently have within inside that building and all the upgrades that would be needed. It's not 100% detailed on this, or whatnot, because it just shows the schematics of it, but there would be some upgrades that need to be done with the transfer switches and, everything to be able to provide the power.
What did he come up with as total draw on the building? If with everything turned on?
Might not have that.
Joe.
I don't have, it might have it on the schematic, but I don't have that actually.
So when he figured the total draw, did he figure the stuff that is not on the generator currently in the bay?
Correct. Yes, he figured that and the addition, he calls it, second, I apologize for that.
He spec'd it for everything in the building to be on generator.
For everything, correct. So this is operating the fire department solely on a generator. Everything will be powered. Once the automatic transfer, the ATS transfer switch kicks on, the entire building will be on power. And then it will still have power left for anything else that we need to. And it's not an absorbent amount of power, because then, this is where if you get into a huge generator or way above what you actually require, you get into the whole wet stacking and issues with
Right.
the generator. The generator wants to work under load. That's when they're the most efficient.
Now, if heaven forbid we do, but if we had another disaster like we had 3 years ago, and say the departments here for you, Carmen, and utilities and all that has to go to the fire department to function, will that suffice for everybody then?
It will, and this is why when we spoke to the engineer, we were very clear on making sure that this was a 4th season, right? The winter would be the worst, right? And then let's say we had to put some heaters or stuff that we actually have to plug in,
Right.
we would be able to do so. It would give us enough to even provide power to the surrounding area, within reason. If we had to run it, for example, extension cords out because we need to do something, heat up the, vehicles or whatever, it would provide that power.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is this natural gas?
Natural gas, it is.
Was the last one natural gas or was it
It is.
the last one? No, I'm talking about the one that we
Oh, sorry.
bid.
I believe so. The Evapar one was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking it was diesel, but
So was I.
Yeah, it was diesel.
it was
I think
diesel.
It was diesel.
Be honest.
I thought he said that because it was natural gas, it was gonna cost more. And then if it was diesel, it would have been less. And I thought for some reason that's the reason that it would cost more. Am I making that up?
I don't remember.
I don't recall that,
Okay.
but I think that the natural gas is the only way to go with it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, once again, you don't have, the output power is gonna be there. A combustion engine will always have, but if you cannot get to it, and if it's a catastrophic event that affects everyone and to include that building, that it doesn't, at that point, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But we know that the gas is gonna be there.
Hopefully.
Right. And even if it had to, potentially, and this is where the conversation can take a different turn where we can look at, dual fuel, but natural gas will work there. It's
Right.
the hookup is there.
Okay, I like it.
Question for you.
Yes, sir.
On your red diagram up here, you have a box called LA tied to an 80 kW or 100 kW generator. And then down in the bottom, you have a box called LA, which is yellow.
That is what's not currently hooked up to a generator.
So red is the proposed power everything, below it is,
It would literally power everything down here. Right now, the one on the bottom, the green, it's on generator. The yellow is only powered by Shore Power or the electric company and not on a generator. So this generator would encompass everything. Both legs of the power boxes, and then it'd have the automatic transfer switch, which would turn the power to the entire building.
David, now that he's talking about, I don't remember seeing,
It said the previous one said a Generac industrial gaseous engine, that gas?
Yep.
It's not diesel, it's not.
That'd be natural gas.
And it has the.
because I don't remember seeing a diesel or a fuel tank out there to run that generator. I've never seen that.
Well, there would have to be one installed if we went that way, but
But
I think that's out of the question to go diesel.
The one we were quoting before was for a natural gas.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
It was for natural gas. Our existing one is natural gas.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Okay.
And talking to the engineer, he said, hey, with everything that the building consumes as far as gas is concerned, and having that generator, it's not gonna be a strain on the system. There's more than enough gas there to be able to provide the power to both the generator and the building. So we're not looking at upsizing, we're not looking at any of that.
Any other questions, John?
I do have a question. The proposed generator is a Generac.
No.
No.
Proposing
Not specific
Okay.
correctly.
Are we specking the natural gas engine?
Yes. It would be,
Right, but I mean, is it gonna be a Kubota or
oh, no. So it
could be anybody's?
That could be any, so it's gonna depend, right? So if you go with Generac, they usually have their own proprietary type engines. You go to Cummins, you're gonna get a Cummins engine. You know, you go to Kohler, you're gonna have a Kohler engine. You know, it just depends on what we go. I think the right move to do with this generator is you spec it for what you need. And then you see what comes back as far as, hey, it might be this generator, it might be a Kohler, it might be a Cummins, it might be. And then from there, look at, you might have multiple, and then start looking at what actually fits within.
Do
whatever
you think it would be wise for Carmen, this is for you, to specify certain generators that we would be interested in the contract?
Well, and this is where we got in the pickle the last time, was the lead time maybe on a Generac. And that was the concern with the contractor that was given the bid, is that the lead time for him to get everything he needed and all the supplies, you know, whether that be for the generator or the transfer switch. I say, that's why I said at the beginning, you know, using what Kent had provided as a recommendation is to not specify the brand. But maybe what we do specify is we need, or that we specifically ask in the RFP is, what would the lead time be on this specific, whatever you're proposing?
Well, that's what,
Not just the bid, but also what is the lead time for a Kohler or for the Cummins from whatever contractor comes in to bid, just so we can kind of, I mean, because we do put in the RFP, there was the date of notice of award, notice to proceed, you have X number of days to install. And that was where the other company couldn't meet that or wasn't willing to sign to submit that without getting, you know. Yeah, so I say we put in there, like, you give us the bid and you also tell us how many days you would need to acquire the materials needed for the project.
well, I was basically talking about a multiple of different brand generators. Should that be entered into the bid, like Kohler, Case? Just as an example to them of where,
Number,
I'm sorry?
like a certain model number?
No, a brand.
Oh, no. I say we open it unless there's a brand we do not like and we wouldn't want it.
That'd be up to you.
But I
And
think
once
you
it-
can do that through like the RFP, and if we're like, well, I mean, maybe not on low bid, if they came in with, like I said, if. Yeah, I don't think we would want to limit, because we already have two different type of manufacturers on generators in town. So it's not like we're a certain brand.
Yeah, I don't mean to have a, specify a brand, just a listing of the ones that we might be interested in. And I probably worded the whole thing wrong.
No, and I agree. So right now I have, we have Generac, we have Cummins, Caterpillar, Rolls-Royce, and Kohler. Those are the predominant,
Predominant,
good,
yeah.
good generators. Like Carmen said earlier, there's obviously some brands that, and we don't know what those brands are. Obviously, there's so many of them out there
Yeah.
now, because there's a replica of everything, so that we could, once we get these bids back, we can say, no, that's not what we want. And I think we can become choosy at that point, because you're going to have this, you will have some competition when it comes to the generators.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, 80 kW is going to be an 80 kW if it's a reputable generator. But just to give you folks an idea, right now, approximately there's about an 18-week backlog on generators. There's a 23-week backlog on ATSs, or automatic transfer switches. So there is a backlog on it. There has been a significant, or I say significant, increase on generators as in the past 5 years. So there, it is it is an appreciating asset. If they're only going to get more expensive, the wait times, I don't think going to get it much less than that. Now there might be, sometimes you have to pay a little bit more to get it sooner, but there's a couple of things. I can tell you that for some of the ATS switches that, when Slim was still with us, that he ordered for the, some of the projects around here, it was almost a year, actually over a year before they came in. Now in this case, we're looking at, like I said, 23 weeks, half a year to get something.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
any of your questions?
Any comments, questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. All right. New business. The white one.
Take any action on recommending a RFP or opening it up?
If you would like for us to go ahead and put the RFP together, then
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
bring it back for next month for approval or low bid opening. Or we'd have a recommendation, we'd have a bid committee, bring back the lowest bid.
Now, are we gonna have stipulated in there, even though it's the lowest bid, if they don't have a, sorry,
Responsive and responsible bidder, so it's not just always the low bid.
okay, but if they have a generator that we don't like, we can bump it.
We'd have to identify which one we don't like. We can't, if we do it through public bid, we need to identify one we do not want. If that's, I mean, I'm not,
But if you get from Brian's company and I bid something that I put together, we shouldn't have to accept it. Like, we should be able to look at that and say that brand's not a reputable brand. Can we do that?
how would you?
Generally, the responsible part is not a super tight definition of what that would constitute. I guess my hesitation is if you get one that, I mean, you can really get in this space, I think, really divergent numbers for an 80K generator. And if somebody comes in with a super low bid on an off brand, could, I think that could be a problem. So the wording of it, if you put in, a reservation that you have the right to approve of the quality of the generator, or I'm trying to think of a way to word it to where you wouldn't specify a brand, because to your point, you don't want to limit it really necessarily, and I think if I remember what Kent said before, some of it might have to do with some lead time. He said, Kent say that you could get Cummins generators significantly faster than others?
I think he was talking 50K Generators.
Yeah, and I don't know.
That was, I think that may have been the difference.
Is there a way that you can send out a request for interested bidders and get a list of names and companies? And then go through them and find out what they sell and how much?
Let me suggest this. I think we can suggest some wording that could address this, because I do see this as a potential problem, because if some of these generators probably do have a pretty substantial price difference, even at the same KW, I assume. And some of those that have a substantial price difference, there's probably a reason for it potentially too. So, I guess one of the things that you might do, you might put it in you might create a universe, what are the throughout 5 or 6 different brands, and that probably won't substantially limit, I think
That's kind of why I was asking what I was about putting the substantial brands in the bid, even though it's Case or Cummins or Generac or whoever, just make a list of them that,
Would be comfortable with
Right.
explaining.
Yeah.
I think if you include, and I think if you, again, Ken would be better able to address this question, but I think if you did that, if you included that, you probably would pretty increase substantially the universe of people that might come in and do that without running afoul of the public bid process. You still want to, of course, do that. But the responsive and responsible, on the legal side of things, the responsive and responsible does, it doesn't have a super narrow definition. There's a lot of ways you could assert that something is responsible. You probably don't want to get into that quagmire though. If somebody says, wait a minute, my bid was, $40,000 or $100,000 less than you picked the other bid. So by doing it in the universe of generators that staff would be comfortable with recommending. And again, Kent would be a really good person to probably comment on that
I
question.
think these two would, looking at the list and saying, hey, these are the top 5 that we think.
Yeah, because so the brands, and so what'll help us here is, yes, absolutely, having multiple brands can help us. And then making sure that the specs are exactly what we need and what we want. And that I think will also help filter some stuff out.
oh yeah.
Especially once you get to that side.
I think there's the filtering of it out, which is always a good thing, but if the last time we filtered too much out.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want us to limit ourselves too much. I mean, it says on here, like Kohler, Generac, Cummins, Cat, Rolls. I mean, are those the,
Those are the top ones.
That one of the Kent suggestion was Briggs. I'm assuming that might be Briggs and Stratton. Did we say Cat?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned Case. I think Case does make generators,
Yep.
right?
They do.
is that one that you would recommend, Armando?
Yeah, so anything, so Cummins, Case, Generac, Briggs, I mean, they've been around for a while. They, produce power now. I'm used to more of the Cummins,
Yeah.
my past career, Cummins was what we used a lot of. And there's a reason why, but sometimes you pay a lot more. Generac is known for generators. This is what they've done. This is what they're brand.
But you paid,
If they're advertising too.
A pretty penny for a Generac, but you get the reliability. You'll get it out of Cummins, you'll get it out of Kohler. I think what we look at is the warranties that come with those. I think that'll also help us with, some elimination process of brands, So I think there's, multiple facets that we can follow, go through to make sure that we get the best product for the town. But yes, I believe narrowing it down to certain brands would give us, or else we're going to just continue to chase ourselves when it comes to following.
and would we want to put in, and this may be down the road, but would we want to put in a service plan? An idea for a service plan,
Oh, yeah.
for them come out and run it for 30 minutes every 3 months or something like that, just to make sure everything's good.
No, absolutely. So, and most of them come with a service plan anyway, and there is something that we can add to when it comes to purchasing the generator and add to further from the service plan. But all these are also on a maintenance cycle.
Okay.
Most of these generators, even the ones that we currently have, they'll come on every so often, once a month. I think they have to go through a cycle process.
Right.
Because they have to be run, correct?
Okay.
I just did a real quick search on 80 kW generator manufacturers. And there's people in here that I've Never heard of them in my life.
Westler's recommended, and if we feel comfortable with a couple others that maybe were recommended at the last one.
What was Wessler's recommendation? These up here?
Yeah, it's
The ones up there listed here,
Yeah.
okay.
Sir.
I would note too, legal will probably work with you guys to do some language that would not unduly restrict something like, that consideration will be given to measures such as lead time and quality of generator. There's language we can put into it that would give you a better ability to navigate if they do, because after the meeting last time, I did the same thing he did. I was looking up and there were companies on there.
Yeah, there-
I were just out of, who knows where they're even from, but yeah, that's kind of a risk, I suppose, in this, like every realm, it's no different than anything else, but we could work with some language to sort of try and keep the universe open where we can get a truly responsible bid that still contemplates the quality that we're looking for. So
So how descriptive do we need to be in our motion tonight? Can we just say that we want to give a motion to move forward with purchasing of a generator based on the legal?
yeah, I think the motion tonight is going to be for her to generate the RFP, and then for approval added at the next meeting.
Okay.
And the RFP,
In the RFP, you guys will work. with
yeah,
legal.
exactly.
Okay.
Go ahead,
So you want to make a motion, Tom? Or you want me to?
go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't let all.
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion that we allow the town to move forward with the RFP process for an 80K generator based on the recommendations that we've heard tonight and through the RFP process with our legal team.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have
And I do have a real quick question. Are we
we're in a motion, so,
Oh, I'm sorry.
A second.
okay. You have a motion, and a second. Can I have a vote by roll call,
Wait, we
please?
can ask questions before vote, right?
But,
It has to be after the vote, doesn't it?
No, I'm pretty confident that you can make a motion, have a
a
second.
motion and a motion pending can't have question,
Okay.
on the motion,
Okay,
but it's restricted, to the motion.
right.
That's-
Okay, Tom. Go ahead.
Oh, got it, okay. So an 80 kW generator has the same engine that 100 kW has,
That's correct.
and the cost difference is 6,000? No, 4,000.
Yes. Well, once again, goes back to the brand, it goes back to
I understand.
some nuances on that in itself, yes. But typically when you get to the 80K and 100K, depending on the generator, they do carry the same engine. Now the output power is different.
Right,
That's what makes the
understand.
difference between an 80 and a 100.
Right, I understand that. Okay. I didn't know if we wanted to.
Narrow it down to 80.
I don't think we want to go to 100 and have that much overkill.
We don't have 80 would be
Okay,
perfectly.
as long as 80 is gonna do it.
100, we're gonna run into those issues with generator and,
That's
increasing
fine.
the life of the generator.
Any other questions, comments? Can I have a vote by roll call, please?
Tom Carroll.
Yes.
Amanda Trimble,
Yes.
John Venter,
Yes.
Brian Webb,
Yes.
David Hoffman.
Yes.
Passed 5-0.
Okay. Bob Glidden roundabout, change order?
So this, just for quick informational, this still fits within what we've got in the budget. So this isn't like we need more money. I mean, we do need more money, but we had some contingencies put into the bond to cover these types of situations. So when we sent out notification, I say Crossroad Engineering has been phenomenal on this project. They had reached out to all of the buildings that were going to be impacted with this project, with the shutdown on Whiteland Road. And a representative from Cooper Tire reached out to us and said, how can we work to get the trucks in to where the guard shack is there on Whiteland Road? And if you remember, if you travel Whiteland Road, there was a median there to prevent trucks from coming eastbound on Whiteland Road and turning left into Cooper Tire. And so we had asked them, could you go up to the Graham Road entrance? But again, there's no guard shack, it's just a gate. And so they had asked us, what could we do? And the median has been a point of contention since it was put in. There's been some questions. We've gotten questions from the developer. Could we remove it? If the property to the south ever developed, we would likely have to remove it and rework what that intersection, or I call it an intersection, but what those entrances look like. So we went ahead and said, let's go ahead and have the median removed. We've not asked for it to go back just yet. For maybe the end of the project, because at the town council meeting on Tuesday evening, there is somebody that is looking to purchase the property, the 40 acres to the south, that is currently under contract with another developer that has done nothing with that project since 2020, 2021. And so they're looking to purchase it from the current property owners. And so again, that could be something that when we determine what's going there and what the impact would be and how they need access, reworking that. To make the ease of trucks being able to get into Cooper Tire, we did have them remove that median, and it did cost extra money. But again, that money is counted in the contingency part. And actually, as part of the bond, this body had already approved for not only the design and engineering, but inspection to be under the original contract, which was the $348,000 that you all approved a few years, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that was worked into this bond as well. So we've got some money in there to cover this change order. There will be more coming before you all, as you know, with old infrastructure in the ground that couldn't be located, that now that they've uncovered some things, we're likely going to have some additional change orders. They hit an abandoned gas line, and so thankfully it was already abandoned, and so just some other things. But this is the first one. Just wanted to bring it to you all, since even though this is a redevelopment authority lease rental bond, you all were the body that was identified to kind of help execute. There's types of you'll approve the bills, and you'll approve any of these things. So again, the change order, the price was $17,775.25. Some of that was for new items, and then existing. On the second page, it does kind of outline how that breakdown. Well, and then the following documents gives you that line item that Prosper put together. So just ask for your approval tonight on this change order, and then it would require David and John to sign it as the authorized agents on behalf of the redevelopment.
Okay. Accept the motion.
So I have a question. So the total is 17,700 and something. If I look at items, increases and decreases, I'm assuming these are all increases, then the number is $22,742.32.
So I think, I don't know, I looked and saw that it said that we had the money. So the change order amount, so
17,745
right.
and 25.
But then there's the increases, decreases, then new items. Some of it, I guess I'm going to say, is that some of it likely was already factored into the construction, and then they had to make some line item changes, but I see what you're saying. So the 15,703.01 is under new items. So the 22, the original. Give me a probably have Adam do it in a minute. When you take this.
The new items,
Here.
32, track.
where's that listing item?
Oh, got it. Okay.
So I see the new items is, if you look, read the cost estimate on page 2 of this. It says that the new items are 15,703.01, which lines up with the new items. Existing items, $2,072.24. That lines up with the amount on page 2 in the amount column. I just don't understand what the others are for.
Increases and decreases are for the 22. Want to read through that and see if what makes sense to you. Well, okay, great. I don't know, the engineer vetted it, and so I'm like, it's good to go. This is what I need to present, so we'll come back to that one then, right?
Yeah. We hold off on that, Dave?
Do we need a motion to table that for now?
Yes,
Yeah,
this is specific to the thing that's in the new business, correct? Or
Yes.
the line item.
Change order.
Yeah, we'll change order line item.
Even if it's gonna be answered tonight, we need to table it.
Table it, yeah. If you're gonna move on to the other stuff.
I'll make a motion to table the Whiteland Bob Glidden roundabout change order number 1.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion, a second to table. Can I vote a roll call, please?
Tom Carroll,
Yes.
Amanda Trimble,
Yes.
John Venter.
Yeah.
Brian Webb,
Yes.
David Hawkins.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, moving on. Annual assessed value captured determination.
There was a memo that everybody, that was sent to everybody, and probably the easiest way to do it is just to, for questions on that. The only question here is whether or not, and to what extent that the council, or that the commission wants to, for the maximum possible under the tip, under the current tip captures.
The answer is usually yes, because we have a whole list of projects of over $100 million. So that it's basically saying, do we want to make sure we captured, or do you want to give it back to the other taxing units?
We capture.
The reasoning's laid out in the memo that we primarily the numbers are, as she indicated, there's gonna be some real deficits in the context. Even capturing 100%, not deficits, but there's gonna be some
Decisions.
some decisions that will have to be made with respect to some of the funding priorities, even at capturing 100% of the valuation you can capture now. So, and it's to some extent, the discussion on the abated growth discussion has a little bit to do, but with this, but there's not, the numbers weren't as the memo laid out, too close to a decision to not capture 100% if the commission wants to continue with the current funding priorities that it has. It's going to be short, even capturing 100% in the not too distant future. So.
Comments, questions? I'll accept a motion to capture the 100% assessed value by June 14th, correct?
That's just when, the determination has to be given before June 4th.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Is it for the entire year? Is that what we're capturing?
that is good until the next period that you have to make so yes, yeah.
I'll make a motion that we capture our annual assessed value in total. Did I do that right?
The language should probably include at 100% include the 100% language.
100% of the assessed value.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I have a vote for roll call, please?
Tom Carroll.
Yes.
Amanda Trimble.
Yes.
John Venter.
Yes.
Brian Webb.
Yes.
David Hockett.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Were we trying to get these numbers in 17? What was the goal?
No.
I see 17.
17.
No.
I'm emailing him right now. I don't expect him to be at his computer still, but
In this stuff, the total of the new items, which is this. And this.
Yeah.
And then just the changes on the other stuff is 2.
Where did this number coming from?
That's that plus that. So it was this, you changed it to this, that's the new amount. So
Yeah.
budgeted was 20, we asked for 2 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. Yeah, so if I said it again, we have existing things. We asked for 2,000,
It's technically tabled, so.
Yeah.
so we have
Yeah,
to
keep
move
going back.
to untable, okay,
If you
no
want to
way,
move to reopen it.
thank you.
Okay, moving ahead. The Whiteland abated growth forecast update for May 2026.
actually Daniel.
Okay.
Move it for you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody, it's good to see you. My name's Adam. I'm the state manager of the town. Asked to put together an update abatements. So I'm gonna walk through this and define what's included. It is a forecast. Look, so it's these are the best estimates that we can put together, but everything I'm going to show you tonight is as filed, as certified, pay 26 deductions confirmed by Johnson County Auditor's Office. And so they're projecting those amounts out, but certain things just wanted to kind of clarify that. So if you might go to the next page. So the contents of the report is I want to walk through a summary of the active abatements that are within the town, specifically within the Town Redevelopment Commission. And likely the most important update in this is to provide our current outlook for TIF revenues as it relates purely to abatement roll-offs. Abatement roll-offs as defined as certain abatements that are on the books, annual deduction percentages. As those percentages go down, let's say 100% deduction to 0 each year, that stair step creates a roll-off increase in your captured assessed valuation, which triggers additional tax increment finance revenue being collected by the Development Commission. Thirdly, there are a few different updates and things that we found as sort of notes and updates that we thought may be helpful. So I'll touch on those as we go. Okay, so this is the sort of at a glance view. So the headline numbers currently right now, there's over $500 million of assessed value abated within the Whiteland Redevelopment Commission. As I was here and we a couple of years ago, we did a update on this, a forecast. I think the first one that I participated in. Since that point in time, it's over a 4x increase just since that. So a lot of the ones at that point they had been approved, but no construction had started yet. So in a lot of cases, we sort of did not have an assessed value, or anytime we sort of get into a yes scenario, we just tend to kind of isolate it to be conservative. There's 21 active abatements, 18 real, 3 personal, and the total trended AV and current pay $26 is $653 million. Some of the ones that are obviously linked to other TIF activity, for example, Patch in this case has a blend or a stack of both tax abatements and the TIF bonds outstanding as well. Next slide, please.
Of the 3 personal.
Yeah, so it's a couple different projects. I'm trying to find.
Turn 14, D&H Distributing and Sugar Foods.
Okay, those are all personal.
They have both real property and they have requested a personal property abatement.
Okay, so I know this is probably a little hard to see on the monitor, so I'll kind of talk through. So a quick thing is, so we start, and this is 2026 to 2038. These are all of we go out to 2038 basically because each of the abatements in some cases are 10 years and et cetera. We're starting at a baseline of 0. And the key point there is that's because I'm trying to isolate how much new revenue you can expect isolated purely on these abatements rolling off. Okay, so essentially starting from now, assuming nothing, then as these abatements roll off, pay 27, pay 28, et cetera, what sort of lift or increase in your revenues do we anticipate? So it starts off meaningful. It starts off with $1.4 million, ramps to over $11.5 million by 2035. The key notes here would be these are active on the books, current assessed valuation, no growth. Okay, so I have no inflation, no appreciation of the current assessed values. I'm basically taking the as filed deduction in current pay 26 and basically cascading that through their deductions rolling. Okay. There's always a degree of variability here. Companies assess, they can challenge their assessments, they can record different amounts of business personal property. So that sort of shaded gray areas is our tolerance, kind of plus 15, minus 15 type of approach, just to show that the reality is it's an outlook. The shaded differences are the differences between the amount of real versus personal, and in this case, you're significantly real property based, which is good. And there's some reasons we'll touch on in the next slide that talk about that. So the other thing that I see in this is that, obviously last year we had Senate Enrolled Act 1 that really changed a lot of deductions, credits, and revenues for communities across Indiana. Couple things. One is it really didn't change anything with respect to industrial commercial. It impacted residential predominantly. Now it'll have an impact on tax rates and caps, which will impact this, but that's for a different night. So what I'm getting at is those revenue disruptions and impacts go into effect between this year and 2031. Meanwhile, your abatement picture alone is also ramping and cascading in that same window of time. You go from basically 1.4 million estimated growth next year. By 2031, you're at $6-7 million higher than we're projecting today, purely as a result of this. So I think that's a positive for the town. What this means practically is that, as these monies actually materialize and work themselves into your funds, ultimately you can obviously use them for the capital improvement plan. You can bond against these dollars as it become real, et cetera. Okay. Certainly, $10 to $11 million per year increase in your TIF revenue would be a meaningful increase in the RDC's debt capacity in the future as well. Okay. Any questions before I move off this slide?
Are these often renewed?
Annually, yes. Yep. And so each year there's compliance requirements. Each of these filers has to maintain these deductions. So this is scraped about half of the abatements. We had already received their pay 26 CF1 filing. So these numbers are based on about half of the as filed, and the remaining we assume they would maintain compliance. So this is if everyone continues to get their abatement for each year as filed through the life of the abatement. If any abatement gets challenged, rescinded, or changed, the outlook would actually be higher.
I mean,
On the existing, they cannot apply for another abatement or an extension. But if they do an expansion on a project or add another building or something like that, they can apply for a new.
it's not legal to
But they cannot.
just to extend these.
Yeah. Good clarification. Thank you. Cool. So I'll go to the
Quick
next.
question on that.
Yes, please.
Carmen, would that be a completely new abatement if they expand, or and the existing one would still be active?
Yes.
Okay.
So next slide. So some of the considerations. So right now we're looking at, based on what's on the books, we're looking at, this could be north of $11.5 million per year in additional revenue to the commission, up to 35. If we can press that, into the SEA one, like more near term, next 5 years, we're realistically over half of that to be expected per year. The 3 new business personal property abatements are not trivial. It is the majority of your tax abatement growth is from real property. The reason we wanted to understand the kind of ratio there is SEA one also put deductions and de minimis floors on business personal property. So it used to be, it has changed where now it used to be an $80,000 floor. So if you had a business expansion and you put less than $80,000 of new kind of property in it, you didn't have to file. Or if you did more than that, you had to file. Now they've raised that floor to $2 million. So obviously a much larger percent of investments now are not counted, which effectively this is kind of a mental shortcut. Effectively, they're automatically abated. They don't have to file. They're not taxable. But in these cases, these 3 personal property investments are significant. They're in excess of that. The other aspect is when we talked about the SEA one or Senate Enrolled one impacts, there are a few unflushed out implications of SEA one specifically on TIF and specifically on tax rate windfalls of the legislative impacts on TIF. I'll cover it just high level, just so you kind of understand it. It's technically still being trying to be evaluated by the Department of Local Government Finance, and when we understand it, make sure that it's updated. Here's what's going on in short. You have new residential deductions and credits that came out of the legislation last year. Well, in Indiana, the levy is constant. So when you provide deductions to one taxpayer, you're effectively just moving it somewhere else. Okay. So essentially, residential properties, both homestead and non-homestead, receive this new deduction. What ends up happening is as those ABs come down, levy stays the same, the tax rates across Indiana are going up. The commercial properties that aren't at the cap are going to have no protection against that higher tax rate. Okay, so that's how the money kind of effectively kind of moves from one type of property to the next. So in a kind of simple terms, the commercial properties are basically picking up the savings on the residential side via this uplift in tax rates. The legislator predicted this and anticipated this and actually added a paragraph in the final enacted version that basically all it essentially says is that TIFs can't get a windfall based on that higher adjusted tax rate in the future. That's all it says. Very arbitrary. I don't know. It's not known yet how exactly that's going to be managed, monitored, controlled, adjusted. It taps the DLGF to be part of that loop as part of the normal neutralization and tax rate certification process. And there's specific carve outs for periods of time and debt. So a lot to unpack there, as there is with the rest of the 350-page bill. But basically, that is an open item that I just wanted to make sure that, one, we're monitoring, and two, that it's something that you hit. The good news is everything I showed you assumed a constant tax rate. So anything that you're able to accrete in positive, if the tax rate lifts, then you would actually see more revenue in the future. Okay. So what I built it on was this year's tax rate constant through 2035. All right. Lastly, with the abatement profile in the town, one thing that I think you consider is economic development fees. These are fees that you actually adopt and apply on the deduction. And they historically have not been widely applied. They are applicable, and they can generate dollars to help cover the administration of these things and to help offset additional costs of the town. There is at least one other community in Johnson County that does this. There's specific various, limitations on the way the fund can be used and all that, and I'll defer to your counsel on that. But with the just the volume of growth you all have, that's just something I wanted to make sure you had on your radar as we look into SEA 1 and just trying to find different ways to fund operations. Okay, the last page I have just lists out all of our sort of inputs and methodology. You're welcome to read that if you have trouble sleeping tonight. Otherwise, it's basically we'll update this as we go. During the next tomorrow is receipt fund deadline. So once those are made available, we can certainly update it. Otherwise, as often as you'd like to do this, I would suggest just by the volume and the sensitivity to your revenue picture, I think annually or every 2 years at a minimum would be a good opportunity to just see how these are trending. And then we archive all of these so we can, just as we did today, we can benchmark against these. So like as I'm looking at it, we were 4x higher than we were in 2023. And even year over year, we were 18% higher than abated year over year. Each year we can sort of kind of look back and compare to our prior estimates so we can continue to make sure to provide, refinements to the model. Any questions for me?
Just had one on the chart.
Yeah.
You said, it starts in 2026 as 0 and it goes all the way up to 11.5.
Yeah.
But that 11.5, like today, we're getting revenue, right?
Yeah.
So it's really not 11.5. It's 11.5 above what today's.
That's exactly right.
So a lot more factors. You're just saying purely abatements rolling off.
That's exactly right.
It's that revenue stream.
I'm just saying.
Also assessed value and.
Yeah, I basically said if you had, this is, say it simply, it's 11.5 in addition to what you're getting today.
Today, okay.
So I tried to isolate it to where just this set of assumptions, what's it going to generate for you all in new dollars?
Okay.
Good question.
Just want to make sure.
I should also say this is only in the portfolio you have. Every new abatement we add. Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, my contact information is included. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll work with the town to update this as often as needed. Okay.
Thank you.
Much good seeing everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Now, do I need a motion again to reopen this
You're talking about the roundabout, item 1.
for Crossroads? Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to reopen the Crossroads Engineering for the Bob Glidden roundabout, change order number 1.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Can I have a vote by roll call, please?
Tom Carroll.
Yes.
Amanda Trimble.
Yes.
John Venter.
Yes.
Brian Webb.
Yes.
David Hawk.
Yes.
That's 5-0.
Are we being asked on this to provide money for it, or is this just informational?
It was informational.
Okay, so then there's no action.
For you.
Wait.
If it is within the already approved bond amount, with future change orders, would you allow me to go ahead and just sign those? You give the approval for the town administrator, for the town manager to sign future change orders, or would you prefer I bring them back to you? If it's within the already approved amount of the project, it doesn't exceed like our contingency and any of.
Looking at a faster process
Both.
to allow you to,
If you do it and you bring it back to us,
Yeah, I mean,
like you sign them off and then you tell us what happened.
okay, yeah, I mean, I definitely will keep you guys in the loop. So,
everybody in agreement for that. We don't need a motion on that, do we?
yeah, to be able to sign on behalf of.
I'm sorry, because it's a line item, you probably do want to motion that and then go ahead and prove it. Because it was on the agenda, or I'm sorry, because it was a line item for business.
Okay. I'll accept a motion for Carmen to be able to sign off on the change orders.
Within budget,
I'm sorry,
within budget.
yes.
All motion for Carmen to be able to. Whatever the.
Sign
change
off
order-
within budget. I have it for,
In the budget.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion, a second. Can I have a vote by roll call, please?
Tom Carroll.
Yes.
Amanda Trimble.
Yes.
John Venter.
Yes.
Brian Webb.
Yes.
David Hawkins.
Yes.
That's 5-0.
Now I got a question.
Okay.
You said that this was informational only. And you're not seeking money for the change. The
It
change.
was already.
It's already in the,
Approved.
Okay,
It's asking.
we've already approved the money.
okay, I just, that's fine.
I do have just a couple of I have a quick update and then maybe an ask for something. So a quick update. So back in the late August, September, you all asked us to work with the police department to look at either expanding, renovating, doing something to get them more space. Okay. Hadn't forgotten about it. We had a change in chief. And so Kenny and I had kind of met on it, was interim chief, and then Derek and I have met on it. And, you know, obviously we've kind of cleared out some space over here, not quite, you know, totally vacant, but kind of looked at, we'd met with a couple different contractors or different types of developers to kind of say what makes the most sense for us. Stay here, renovate, what could we do? So Derek and I, a couple months ago, sat down and he's like, I got an idea. And so the idea was, and I said, well, that's great, but now we need to kind of get the blessing from the council for us to proceed. His idea is to basically go from here, build a wall, so it would shrink this room. And this would give them the space they need to be able to work for the next few years until we maybe hit that, you know, did you see like in about 5 years, we should be at about $6 million on top of what we're already collecting to be able to actually build a building. And so at first the council was kind of hesitant, but it was really hard to even get numbers until we knew what we could even do. And, you know, we could sit there and say, well, let's dream big, or, you know, even if it's a renovation, and if we can't get numbers on paper, it was, you know, it was very difficult. And so we wanted to, again, get the blessing of the council. They did give us the blessing to kind of proceed with, we might have to redo what this looks like. And I said, with a lot of other communities, they've gone to more modern looking tables or, you know, council chambers where, you know, we don't get a lot of people, but we also don't want the perception to be, oh, well, now you've made your council chambers smaller. So does that mean you're trying to push out the public? No, not necessarily. I mean, look at all this. I always say, look at the space for activities. Okay. And if we shifted things a little bit forward to be able to give them more daily usage of space, whereas this room primarily is our meeting room, but other than that, it sits vacant and not used. And then during meetings, this is all open space for whatever reason. So we are sitting down on Tuesday, Derek and I, because I also said, you know, there's a lot of, we're going to look at a renovating town hall. What options do we have to better utilize the space that the town side uses? Because we have a lot of, I'll call it wasted space. We have a lot of old furniture that is taking up, is big and clunky and taking up. And again, more modern furniture takes less space and, you know, and some things of that nature. So we did get the blessing from the council to consider making this room this space a little bit smaller, to at least, you know, the initial would be to get the police department more space. He's already, I'll say doodled it, but he's CAD, you know, put it into a CAD design on what this square footage could provide them, and allow them more flexibility with their space next door. So just wanted to give you that update on that. And then once we kind of get some numbers down on paper, you know, we'll come back to you all and say, is this a project that you are interested in helping support, or where do we go from there?
That's what, about 200 square feet.
It's something like that. It's like, I forget if that was 12 or what the, you know, and then the question was, is that a load bearing wall? And we're like, I don't know. I mean, I pulled the plans from the police department when it was renovated back in early 2000s. And then the town hall was renovated in like 2015. I say renovated, we literally redid where the town manager's office was and, you know, did some things there, but nothing significant structurally. So a lot of them are false walls, and you can hear everything. I mean, you've got a false ceiling. So you know, and that was kind of the, you know, with Derek is there's no safe space to really do interviews when you have a situation where, you know, you're doing it in here, you can hear through the walls. You know, if you have a couple different people you need to separate and do interviews, there's just not the space. So we hope that along with that, you know, if there's a renovation that to protect the walls so that the sound isn't, you know, we can, when we're sitting in here, we can hear Julia.
There's a lot of public meetings in here. What kind of other than public meetings happen in this room?
So this is our primary meeting space, but in addition, so in the town council, in the town's budget, we have, what's that?
Our meeting space was who's our?
Like if I have people come in, developers come in,
Okay.
contractors, vendors, different things of that nature.
I'm
So
going
one
at this.
thing that was put in the,
What if you removed that wall and you didn't lose all the space?
I mean, like I said, we don't ever fill this. The only time we get close to filling this is when we have employee lunches. And what I was gonna say is this table's gonna go away. I mean, it's big, bulky, obnoxious, and it's on wheels, so you feel like the little kid at the big kid table every time you sit at it. So this is getting replaced. It is in this year's budget. Your chairs, hopefully by next meeting, you'll have new chairs you're sitting in, because these have been toast for, as you can see, this is all that's left. There used to be like 10 or 12 of these, and she's not even sitting in one of the chairs. So, you know, so it's kind of been one of those things. So the chairs have been ordered. And then a new table, because, you know, we have a lot of just clutter in here, and that's not what we want either. We have stains on the carpet, and so just some different things. So it's not like, okay, let's make our wish list just because one group, you know, one department needs more space. It's if it makes sense for us to revise, you know, because like I said, we don't have any meeting space in the back, and we're starting to, I guess. Every space back there has a desk in it, but there's a lot of, it can be repurposed in different ways to be able to function, I think, a little bit better. I mean, our vault technically isn't it's literally a room. If something would ever happen, catastrophic, our stuff's, like there's nothing to protect that. It's just a room that locks. So, yes.
You're talking about the space here that's not being used. I've been to town hall meetings that they filled this space.
Yeah, oh, certainly.
And-
Yes, I'm not saying we haven't. And the last time we filled it, we had police on one side and fire on the other. And so, in not saying that there wouldn't be, but we had the other night, like, and we had, this site was primarily staff. And we did have some residents here, like 6 or 7 that were all together. I mean, it's not that we would be deterring people away, but the last time we filled this room was we had police on one side and fire on the other because they had 2 different issues they had to present to the council.
I was thinking of chickens.
Oh, think you should think about modifying that wall there.
Oh, certainly.
Clean space out.
Just wanted to give you an update, like we are still working on it. It's like, you know, with everything else, you know, we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, and a lot of it is our manpower too. We just don't, you know, the bandwidth, and some of the folks we've talked to on the developer side or even contractor side, like the scope of work, this is more of a small thing. And so that's not something they've been interested in. So it's like, I'm not going to waste my time. If it's just going to be police, I don't say waste, but I don't have the bandwidth to be calling a whole bunch of contractors. And Derek has been great at helping kind of, you know, we'll get to a list and let's start having some conversations. But if it becomes like a joint, like we redo town hall too, I'm not an interior decorator. I can work with whatever space is given to me. I've had the smallest office in this place with a desk that every time you walked out, you hit your leg. So, I mean, I'm not I need this big, great office. I just want something that's efficient for our people. But especially the police department, because it's not efficient. I mean, it is efficient, but they just don't have the space to do what they need. But just wanted to update you guys on that. The other thing, this came up, I was going to bring it up last month, but I didn't want to. But after the tornado, we purchased that property at 739 Pearl for the fire department. And at that time, like right after the tornado, we discussed potentially looking to purchase other properties near the fire department, street garage. And potentially next door to the Pearl Street, the 739 Pearl. I've spoken to the one property owner that it's a vacant lot now. He did not rebuild his house. He's moved to Franklin. And I had asked him if he would consider purchasing or selling. And he said, oh, just give me an offer. But I've been given ridiculous amounts of money. I said, well, that's not how that works with the town. We would have to get appraisals and look to buy that. Not as much heartburn on that property, but if we could purchase that, that would allow us to do something with 739. It could even be we have a house built, we turn around and sell it and get something back on the tax rolls that is a built property. That is what Franklin does a lot with their redevelopment commission and their it's called the FDC, the Franklin Development Corporation. They will buy properties that are not on the tax rolls, whether for various reasons, either they're vacant, they need demoed and things like that, and then they get them back on the tax rolls, a new home. Those, as you remember, those lots are very narrow, and it could allow us some opportunities there. We had talked about, like, if we end up making a government center, could that help us kind of connect those parcels? The other parcel that I'm interested in is between the fire department and the street garage. When the fire department was still a fire district, we had discussed, it's the yellow pieces. We had discussed and got appraisals for that property. And it had the barn there. It was Rod Bohr's back before the tornado. He had just put it underneath basically a lease contract with a contractor to purchase that property, who now owns the property, but he is not in zoning compliance. So we've had some conversations with him. He would like to build a building, but I'd like to buy it, a property. So just wanted to kind of come before you if that would help us kind of close that, bring that all together underneath the town. Not as much heartburn on the smaller parcel, but I do think there's some opportunities there for us to make some money back on that, or give us some more space to widen the road there for the trucks to get out on the fire department. But would like to see if it's something that if I could get some appraisals on it and make an offer to either of those properties. Just wanted to see if that's something you guys would entertain.
Which is the property on 140 South State?
The long yellow one.
Oh, the long yellow one?
Yeah.
So it's the 729 is the other little shorty.
Had the barn for when the farm was there.
What's the blue bordered one?
Ordered.
He had a light blue border.
Oh, that's just where my cursor was on Beacon.
Okay.
That's nothing. Mhm.
So we own the two on the,
739 is where we had the trailer for the fire department, which there was a trailer there before the tornado. We don't allow manufactured homes, but we did a temporary for the fire department to have, so it was close to the station. Again, that's an opportunity that maybe we don't need all of those two parcels. If we could get them both to purchase, we did look at buying some parcels to the north to kind of create, I'll call it a boulevard, that if we end up moving town hall and police department over there, it would kind of create like a wider path to kind of go back to what we, in our comprehensive plan, we talk about a civic center or government center. But again, it's just, we already move at the pace of turtles. Like I said, I spoke to the property owner next to 739 Pearl. He's not he doesn't have to sell. He's not necessarily, but he did say, you can make an offer. I told him it would probably be, what an appraisal comes back. We have to do the middle of two appraisals. We paid, would we pay 30 some thousand for the vacant lot, 35 for the vacant lot, at 739. So it would be low. And he may not accept it, but at least it would give us an idea of what the value of the property is. And then the main one I want is 140 State. And I don't remember that we had, again, when it was the fire district, I have the original appraisal, but when that was under the previous property owner, he did not want that. He would not accept that amount. Or we could buy it eminent domain.
Oh,
If it's something we don't have to make a decision tonight, and just wanted to make that proposal, we can talk about it another time too.
Thank you. That sounds promising.
Oh, I have.
All right. Any other comments, questions? John?
yeah. How do you know? I always have a comment. So we were thinking 10 years plus out in the future, and this is just a perception. I don't have data on this, but the perception that when I see, like, I made the mistake once, hopefully not again, of thinking Whiteland exit was open, and it's not. And so we're putting a roundabout in, and we need a roundabout there. And I think about Franklin, it feels like they put their roundabouts in an infrastructure, and then the stuff is built after. And it just feels like we're putting a bunch of things in, and then we're very late to put the infrastructure in. I think Whiteland Road, just anywhere on Whiteland Road, is just going to be a problem. And so I just wondered if we could get ahead of that.
Yeah, if we had the money. So with our community crossings, community crossings is a great opportunity that monies come down from federal highway, go to the state, and then local units apply to receive those funding. And if you're a community under 10,000, it's a 75-25 split, or it was. I think it went to 80-20 now. They used to do 2 calls a year. They're only doing 1 now. This year for 2026, the deadline was July, it got moved to October. So we are planning to apply, and the roads that we are submitting, now that we've got all the residential kind of milled overlaid, the roads that we're submitting is Warrior Trail and making it all concrete. If you've driven out, we can't really get to it now, you'd have to go a long way around. There's craters out there. A few years ago, a couple of town managers ago, the solution was to asphalt it, even though all those trucks go in there. The street superintendent at the time had said, it won't work, needs concrete, it's concrete, it has to be concrete. So we're fixing that. And then we are going to repave and possibly add a little bit more of a shoulder on Front Street from Whiteland Road up to Tracy. And then mill and overlay and match New Whiteland to 31. Okay, so that right there is over $1 million, is about $1 million project. And we'll have the 25% of that will be our match. But I've been talking to the engineer, so in 2028, the roundabout will go in at Sawmill Center Line and Whiteland Road. That's 2028, and it was brought up at the council. We need a shoulder going south. We're working on a semi-permanent temporary solution to get us to 2028 to help with that shoulder. But then as part of that project, I'd asked what we could do to fix that road. But going back to your point of the rest of Whiteland Road, that's part of the infrastructure upgrade that we need to do, is between Graham and where the roundabout construction's happening. That's the next priority. So once we get through this year's community crossings, we do it in 2020. It's like I said, October, it's not going to get constructed till next year. So unless we come up with, that's probably that part of Whiteland Road to do what we would need to do. I'll say widen it. NDOT would like us to put 2 lanes both directions. Well,
You're not doing it because we can't afford it?
we don't know if it's calling for that. So anytime we do these types of projects, we look at the traffic studies, look at today's projections, today's traffic. It might say that. And then we look at 5, 10, 20 years down the road. What are those projections look like? The amount of truck traffic that we've started to see, Malarkey, which is a Franklin project, is going to bring 200 trucks a day.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not.
So it may
at all.
call for that. It may call for that. That's going to be more than $1 million. So it's gonna have to, you know, and it doesn't mean that it just has to be a community crossings. It could be community crossings with some TIF money. It could be town MVH restricted money. Right now in our MVH restricted, which is only to be used for road projects, we have like $200,000. That's it. That's all we get. That's your wheel tax. Your gas tax right now is suspended. So we're not getting any revenue for MVH restricted on that. And so it's not that we don't know that it's a problem. It's just how do we get there financially? And
I mean, we gotta fix all the problems. So can we get ahead of any? Like, I feel like Franklin built roundabouts from here to the interstate and then they.
One, they're also a city. Two, they've also had a TIF district. Like what we see, I'm like, oh my gosh, if we had an extra $11 million on top of what we already generate, I don't want to say our problems will be solved. They won't. We'll just have more problems of something else. But we just need a little bit more time to get to reap the benefits of having those big buildings out here. And we're getting there. We're just not there yet. I've been talking with the mayor, and his big push right now is for a new interchange at Earlywood. And he wanted the town to go in on the engineering on that. And I said, Steve, I cannot justify putting money, because we paid for that roundabout. We helped pay for that roundabout at All Hand and Graham.
3.
I said, I cannot justify improvements 2 miles away. I said, but we can work on a project, because Paul Hand.
Oh, it's horrible.
That's a Franklin, that could be a Franklin, Johnson County and Whiteland project. And so that's kind of my next focus. Graham Road's gonna get finished in June here this year. The patch was supposed to do last year. That's getting finished, but then we have that gap between where the gas substation is and Paul Hand, that's still the county's road. And so, again, if you said, Carmen, if we were at that $11 million, I'd have all of our road problems fixed, but we have other problems too. We have sewer problems. We have.
I'm saying you're aware of it.
Safety.
We want to get there. We just have, it takes a little bit more time,
Yes.
and the money will come and we'll get ahead of stuff. We can't get ahead of it right now.
I mean, and people will continue to drive. I mean, if I know a road's bad, I try to just avoid it. Whether traffic, I mean, I do not like driving on 135 just because they have 4 lanes, 5 lanes, including the center. But the traffic doesn't move. It just makes sillier drivers. They just, driving on 65. I went up to Wisconsin. They do not know how to drive on 65 because they want to, I'm going a mile per hour quicker. So I'm going to go ahead and get over and pass.
10 minutes.
And it's like 10 minutes. So I know that there's problems.
Any update on the, sorry. You
No,
don't-
I'm not
Right.
complaining, just.
Any update on the Parks and Rec?
Yes, so DNR approved our plan. It'll go before the park board in June for adoption. And so but we have to wait till 2027 to apply for any funding.
Okay. What are the projects that they're looking at? Because I think that it's great to get ahead of all the roads, but people blame the roundabout. People blame the roundabout on all the, like, if we didn't have the warehouses, we wouldn't need the roundabout.
Well, we have the roundabout at Graham and Wyland.
I understand. It's a perception thing, right? So to me, it's like, okay, what amenities, what things can the RDC help with the town to say, hey, look at what, yes, we're not there and we're going to give a lot more in the future, but look what what is it? Trafalgar has an amphitheater now.
Well, and Festival Countries reached out and
Yeah.
said, what do you want? Do you want an amphitheater? And I'm
Yes,
like,
we
well,
do.
we need to see what the park plan. So there's a bunch of different projects that are within that park plan. And now it'll be, let's prioritize what's going to be our first project. What does that look like in that? So I'll send you guys the park plan so you can look at that. John came to the last public meeting that was there. And, like I said, I've been in conversations with Festival Country. There are funds out there. If it's a project, and I think he was able to do that for about $100,000, and he got a lot of contractors, the town manager at Trafalgar, and so they're willing to put money into it. It's just,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, so we're,
curious to see what that would look like, because I think there'd be a lot of interest if we could do things like that. The town would benefit from it.
any other questions?
I'm gonna throw out.
Throw her out. Is that what you
Don't-
said?
I've already talked to you about this, and it's not, I don't have any connection to this sport at all. But Don Cummins, who I talked with a lot, Festival Country, would be really excited about somehow partnering and funding an ice rink for county or us or whatever. So I don't have anything personal for it. I don't know if I'd ever even use it, but just saying it, that's a thing that might be different. That might be fundable.
My biggest, okay, and I'll just say it, I talked to Ken about that and that did not come up as a sponsored or a funded by Festival Country. Whatever, and I've always said this, whatever we would pick, my problem with something that is usually typically a winter is you're limited on when you can have it. And I'm familiar, so y'all know I'm from Fort Wayne. There's a big park up there, Headwaters Park. That's where it's got the amphitheater. It has a stage. It has a covered pavilion where they have all their festivals and things of that nature. And then in the winter time, they convert it into an actual skating. It's a lot of manpower, and it might make them money. I haven't looked into that to see if I haven't called them up to say, hey, does it actually generate revenue? But I would want something, one that revenue or generates revenue, could be used year round. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you can make an ice skating rink work in the summer, but it costs a lot of money to do so. And then be what our community would want. Like I understand like Festival Country wants unique things that could not only cater to our residents, but also big economic development and bringing people to our county of something. So, you know, it's kind of like, where do we want to go with it? So there may be other activities. I mean, I know it's about 200, 300, how many ever pickleball courts, but they're all busy. But they're all busy now. But what does 5 years look like? What does 10 years look like? Is pickleball still going to be the thing? It might be, it might not be. So just trying to find something, whatever it is, to not be taxing on the town as far as manpower, and to bring us some money.
Thank you, Tom. Anything else? John? Brian?
Nope.
Nope.
Amanda? Tom? We're adjourned.